Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Jon Scheve with Superior Feed Ingredients, and we're seeing some pressure in the grains this morning for the most part. Livestock futures hogs are lower, cattle futures higher. And John, let's talk a little bit about some of the pressure that we're seeing in the grains. Obviously, we've got the crop off to a pretty good start in terms of just looking at the crop ratings from yesterday, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. And I think that it goes to show that we did get the crop for the most part planted on time. There's still a few pockets that aren't. And this is matching a lot like what 22 looked like. But in general, the planting pace is adequate. The northern states are way ahead of normal. And I think that you're going to see less prevent plant up there. I think conditions are good. Now we just have to wait and see what the weather's like, primarily in June, but mostly in July, where the crop is usually made.
Yeah, so talk about the fact that we're kind of in that seasonal time period where we do kind of expect the grain markets to break a little bit, right?
I think, basically you've got about another week or so where the market's going to wait to see what the weather's like. Are we going to build a high over the Midwest and prevent rain? But in the month of June, all that's going to do is send those tap roots deeper, looking for more moisture. So if anything, hot and dry right now might not be as bad as wet weather could be, because then if July is dry, those roots didn't go down and they'll run out of moisture. So which one is better? Rain makes grain, or do we send that tap root lower? So I think right now you're looking at a seasonal that, if we follow history, pretty much you hit the middle of June, you can certainly top on out, and then you start to head south, and you may not recover until next summer.
Yeah. And the funds have covered a lot of that short position that they had there throughout the winter. And so are they just kind of waiting here for what to do next in terms of the weather too?
I think they have to be. I think they look at the market in a carry. They say there's no reason to be buying this. What concern? We did see what they did when they noticed a problem with wheat. They sent wheat up $2 a bushel rather quickly. And could the same thing happen in corn if some dryness comes in? Could we rally $1 very quickly? I think that that's absolutely possible. The question is are the conditions going to be right for such a scenario? I mean, it took a lot of dry weather there in Russia to cause wheat to go higher. But even then, the minute wheat crossed $7, the market kind of said, well, show me that there's a real problem. I really don't want to buy forward above $7. So I think I'll just buy hand to mouth. And then, as I need it, I'll buy more. And if I don't, I'll just sit back and wait.
Yeah, and the wheat market definitely, John, helped the corn market to come off its lows and rally. And so if wheat isn't going higher, is corn got a chance of going higher?
I don't see how it would. I mean, we would definitely need some kind of catalyst. And the only one I can really think of during this time of year would be dry weather. But dry weather here in the first half of June isn't going to matter. Even the last half of June doesn't matter if it isn't too extreme. Overall, I think the biggest concern still is what's it like between June 10th and June 25th when we're pollinating a lot of the crop. Maybe this year we need to even extend it another week, because a little bit of that crop was planted late, specifically in Iowa and Illinois, or Iowa, maybe not so much Illinois.
Yeah. So we do have the June 12th WASDE report coming up, and certainly there's been a lot of debate about, does USDA leave yield at 181 on corn as we get into that report? When you look at the crop ratings and what we've got planted, what are your thoughts?
I like consistency out of the USDA. I like to make sure that they're easily predictable, which they normally are. They've only changed it twice since 2013. I certainly hope they don't change it, only because I don't see the reason, with as good a crop yields as we got going. We got a lot of that crop planted on time. Yes, there is some replant in pockets, but that's not generally a very wide problem. So if I were to guess, I would think that they would not make a change and stick with what they've done 80% of the time.
Yeah. The other debate is acreage. And what are your thoughts there, especially since there's talk about, we're past the last planting date for corn in a lot of areas? Are we going to see how much PP, and what are we going to see for corn and soybean acres on the report?
That is probably the billion-dollar question right there, because if there's some numbers have thrown out that corn planting, we were at 90 in the March, which everyone thought was too low. I've seen a couple estimates that it might be as low as 87. I've seen some people think that it could be back up at 93 million. I don't think it's on either one of those. I think that's too extreme in both scenarios. If it is 87 and we have any weather problem whatsoever, you're looking at need to ration corn. You could make a case for anywhere from $6.50 to $8 corn. If it comes in at 93 million, I think you can make a case that could be anywhere from $3.50 to $4 with normal precipitation. So that's a wide range. I just don't see the prevent plant coming. I mean, those northern states were way ahead. I mean, we're talking 10% ahead of normal. The producers I've been talking to across most of those areas all got their crop planted. They all said that it financially made sense that even if they had a little bit left to push beyond May 31st and push it till June 10th, and there should be some windows here opening up to give them that opportunity if they didn't get done. So I don't see them not getting it planted. And then the question is, did any acres get switched to beans? I mean, there was a article out this morning that said that a few acres had been switched in Illinois, maybe, but only if you didn't have your fertilizer down. If you had the fertilizer down, you're not switching, you're putting corn down. So to me, I don't see the acre switch happening. I think that the most important thing to remember about that March report was there weren't enough acres compared to past history of what we actually get planted. So there is room to improve overall on both corn and beans.
Yeah, you're not the only one that has said that to me. We didn't have enough principal acres. Where did those go? And maybe they show up, you think, in this report then?
Yeah, I do. I think that March report, unfortunately, it's becoming a report that doesn't make any sense to have anymore because all it's doing is giving false numbers. If anything, I think the economic forum in February is probably a better gauge of where the acres should be.
Yeah. No, that is a debate that we could have for about a half an hour, I'm sure. Also, we have a lot of old crop corn that's still in storage. And you say end users really don't have a lot of coverage because of that.
Oh, exactly. I think if you're an end user trying to buy corn here, it doesn't matter if you're an ethanol plant or a feed yard or whatever. I think you look at how much corn is still in the bin and how much the farmer has to sell, and you're going to sit back and wait for that corn to come because it's going to come because the farmer needs to clean out those bins before harvest. I think you're seeing that we've seen a little pop in basis or remain strong here for the last several months because the farmers been focused about being in the field, and now they're still out there spraying and in some cases replanting, or a few people are putting a few of the acres in yet. But in general, I think the goal right now is sit back and wait, because after July 4th, if that looks like a good crop coming out of the field, those farmers are going to start emptying all those bins on out, and that corn's going to be looking for somewhere to go. And there might not be a ton of room, and the prices might start to tumble right after that July 4th weekend.
Okay. And that includes livestock producers. You think those end users should also be kind of buying hand to mouth right now?
I would if it was me. I mean, I look at the carry in the market and I don't want to pay for storage for corn later on when historically the low occurs, 70-80% of the time occurs after July 4th and before or right around Thanksgiving. So, I mean, to me, I'm like, I'm going to buy what I need this week and wait till next week. The only way you get hurt on that is if we turn hot and dry in July and we rally. If you want to protect against that, you can use the option strategies out there, or I wouldn't, but you could. I just think that you bet on the 75% chance that this is going to be a normal year and that prices aren't going to be higher. And with the carry in the market, you just wait and buy week to week.
All right. Any marketing advice for grain producers before we end?
You got to think about the fact that if the end user, from telling them 75% chance we're going to go down, then you got to go with that as a 75% chance we're going to go down. I don't like that we've dropped back here 20, 30 cents in a matter of a week, but here we are at prices that historically, I put a deal out here last week when I did research that 11 out of the last 15 years, the worst price you sell in the month of May or June, December corn will be lower than that by the time we get to fall.
Yeah. And we had a lot of resistance areas we couldn't take out. And that's part of the reason that we retraced as well. So we're going to need some big event to go back and take those out, aren't we?
I think the easiest one to pick would be weather. And if you can predict it, you can make a lot of money. And I still haven't figured out how to predict it. And I don't think anyone else has.
Yeah, you're not alone. All right. Thanks so much, Jon Scheve, joining us here with Markets Now.